What's up? This is Joe Rogan, and you are watching MMA Ring Report. But you already knew that, right? Yes, you did. You're so smart.
Let's talk a little bit about mixed martial arts. Obviously, you've been a huge advocate of mixed martial arts. Could you ever have imagined that today the UFC is $100 million business or even more compared, and it was just only a few short years ago that we had, barely any people showing up at the shows, fighters making absolutely no money. UFC was what, $40 million in the hole?
Yeah, well, yeah, there were $40 million in the hole, which if you think about it before taxes is like $80 million. You got to make $80 million to spend $40 million. So that's an incredible amount of money that they were, in the hole funding the UFC. When I was first doing the UFC was before the Fertitas. It was before Dana White. It was 1996 or 97. It was Vitor Belfort's debut when he fought Trey Telligman and then he fought Scott Verozzo. That was the first time that I ever did commentary for UFC. And of course, the super fight was Dan Severn versus Mark Coleman. It's pretty badass, and I was just interviewing the fighters, and I was a huge fan of the sport, and nobody knew what it was, Very few people had even heard about it, and, when you tell them about it, yeah, I'm off to Louisiana. What do you do? Oh, I'm going to interview some cage fighters. They're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, literally, I tell the guys from News Radio, they had no idea what the Ultimate Fighting Championship was. They just thought I was a psycho. They just thought I liked some crazy shit. And I always said that this is the best sport by far. It's like, why can I see it, but other people can't see it? I'm like, this is nuts. And I just felt like, and the caliber of fighters back then was nothing compared to what we have now. I mean, there's so much evolution has gone on. I mean, now, if the sport existed in the form that exists now back then, I'd probably have a fucking aneurysm trying to tell people about it. I'm like, forget about your baseball and all your football. That's all nonsense, all right? There's dudes kicking each other in the fucking head, all right? They're strangling each other. They're just fighting. It's a sport of fighting, and it's fucking crazy. If I told you about that back then, people would just, they thought you were insane. They thought you were, you were a barbarian. You were an asshole. Like, what do you like, watching people beat each other up? Like, you don't? You don't like watching that? Like, how could you not like watching a fight between two guys who have dedicated their lives to turning their body into a weapon? They've dedicated their lives to using their body as like a chess piece, like a physical chess piece, like two guys trying to figure out how to shut each other's game down, trying to figure out how to checkmate each other, trying to figure out how to shut your body down, either choke you or get a hold of a limb where it's going to break or knock you out standing, or knock you out on the ground. One of those. Something's going to happen to you. One guy is going to get the other guy, and he's going to shut him down with nothing but his body. No baseball, no fucking 50-yard down. What are you talking about? What does that mean? Out of bounds? Shut the fuck up. What is that? It's a ball and everybody's going crazy because it goes through this thing? Really? You really give a shit? That doesn't make any sense. It always makes sense when someone punches somebody in the face. That's always crazy. Like, whoa, that's just your chimpanzee DNA. Just, whoo. It's the purest of all sports, But back when, 1997, man, when it was banned from cable and you can only get it on the Dish Network, I would have never thought that it would have gotten to the point where it is today. And we used to say back then, what we really need in this sport is a bunch of crazy billionaires who take all their money and just throw it all at UFC and expose it to people to make it huge. And that's exactly what happened with Zuffa. I mean, that's really what happened. Those guys were fans of the sport first, and they just thought it'd be a great thing to do. I mean, their main business was casinos. They owned casinos. And the Ultimate Fighting Championship to them represented a chance to, make their hobby, make this thing that they love doing. They both train. Frank and Lorenzo both train in jiu-jitsu, and so did Dana, and that's how they got involved in this in the first place. Dana was an amateur boxer, and Lorenzo was, really good at Muay Thai. Like, if you watch his stand-up where he's, drilling with Mark Delagrate, he throws some solid shit, man. He knows his shit. He knows what he's doing. And they're fans of the sport. So it really was like, they were sent, it was like best case scenario. Like, if you wanted something to save the sport back in 1997, what you would say is, we need some crazy billionaires who were, by the way, just happen to be in with the Nevada State Athletic Commission, and they're going to get this passed and show the world, that there's this insane sport out there that somehow or another, even though it's the oldest sport in human history, I mean, it really is the root of all sports, is the ability to dominate each other physically. That is the root of all sports, and somehow or another, it had neglected us, or we had neglected that was the most exciting sport of all. even though it's the oldest one, for whatever reason, nobody ever put it together totally, until the Ultimate Fighting Championship came along.